are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining. So, you represent part of Travis County. Do you want to give people a little geography of where you are?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually in the Texas Capitol, but I represent the Texas Capital area. So
Okay.
Central Austin is where I represent in the Texas House.
Awesome. And the House was adjourned late last night, if I'm correct.
Thank
And
God.
so, yeah, it was a lot of bad bills that went through. And I know that you've been leading the charge on House Bill 8, which is this expansion of state testing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, if you can believe it, at a time when everybody is saying we need less testing in our public schools, this bill more than tripled the number of standardized tests mandated for our neighborhood public schools. And so kids from third grade through eighth grade are going to have to take a total of 51 mandated standardized tests now, up from, I think it was 12 that were currently required under state law.
Right, that's crazy. And the governor has the governor signed that bill yet? Is there an opportunity for people to call and get involved?
Thank you for asking. He has not signed that bill and he should veto that bill. Let's understand this is not a partisan issue. The STAR test is universally hated by most all Texas parents, teachers, and for sure students. And
Yes.
so this is a bill that should be a no brainer for him to veto. He promised that he would end the STAR test in this special session. Eliminate the star. That's what he said in his call for this special session, that we would eliminate the star. This doesn't eliminate it expands it. We refer to it now as a starzilla because this thing is out of control. So yes, if he is honest and true to his word to eliminate the star test, he should start by vetoing House Bill 8.
Got it. Do you know why Republicans are doing this? It feels, I mean, it's like directly against his order. So is there any, do you have any insight into why?
Well, I think they were trying to pull a fast one on Texans by claiming they are eliminating the star and thinking Texans wouldn't notice that they more than triple the amount of tests that are required for a school year. So I think they just don't respect Texans enough to think we're going to know the difference. But they miscalculated terribly because Texas parents are very in tune with this testing that's happening in our schools, and so are Texas teachers and school communities. Um, but look, this is a power grab. Just like everything Republicans are doing these days, they are trying to control more and more testing so that they can manipulate these tests to make our schools look bad. That's what they did in the lead up to this regular session to make the case for passing vouchers, right? Let me give you an example of what they did. So there are these things called cut scores when they grade the STAR test. And when they grade A through F accountability, how our schools are doing. So after the kids had even already graduated, they raised the goalpost, the cut scores for what it took to pass the A through F accountability system, right? And so all these schools with no notice, kids had already left for the school year. All these schools got bad grades because they wanted our schools to look bad. And they did this thing that is terribly unfair to our kids in schools by raising the standard after it was too late to do anything about it. So this is more of the same. They want control. This is also money. This is a $50 million bill, right? That's given no doubt to donors of the governor and Republican leadership. So money and power, it is the same old story, what we see pretty much in all bad bills that come through the Texas legislature.
Yeah, and this isn't the only bad one. I think several other passed. Are there any other bills that you're really worried about that passed this session?
Right. We saw a bathroom bill pass, right? This is a bill that requires or has the state mandate that bathrooms have to be used by the gender you are identified as at birth,
Mhm.
right? Well, but and it's a weird definition. It's not even that. The definition is whether or not your reproductive system is advanced to either fertilize an egg or create an egg. So it's just the most invasive
Yeah.
kind of bill. It's government in your business, literally in all sorts of ways. And it's just nowhere where government should be. It is ridiculous. It is discriminatory. And it's unfortunate. That's where we are in Texas these days. That's where our politicians are. They don't have real solutions for real people's problems. So they invent boogeymen and they try to beat up on the same people over and over again. Another category of people that get beaten up in Texas is women. They also passed a bill to um, make it unlawful for the seller of the abortion pill to sell to anyone who lives in Texas, right? And so that bill passed during this special session. So they banned abortion some more in Texas at a time when women are literally dying because they can't get the health care they need, when there's no exception in our abortion ban already for rape and incest for a baby that is a has a fetal abnormality um, that is not going to live. There's no exception for those categories. And so it's pretty incredible that they could find another way to make it harder for women to get the abortion care they need.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I think it's really just like a trend that we're seeing with the bathroom bill, with the school bill, with with this abortion bill is really this, you know, power and control that Republicans so desperately want over different groups of people. It's really odd. It's like a really odd thing. Like as a young woman in Texas, like it is this stuff is top of mind, you know, as I can't have access to all the healthcare decisions and it starts with mifepristone, but is the standard birth control pill next? We don't know. And
That's right.
it's a really scary time to be a woman in Texas, I think.
That is a
And
legitimate fear. That is a real fear about whether they come after birth control pills next. Is already, and I'm sorry that our state is in this situation. It is unacceptable. It is really a violation of the rights of women to access the health care that they need. And yeah, they are never done. So this is really a demonstration of these authoritarian tendencies that Republicans in charge have now, where they're trying to control every aspect of our lives. No longer are Republicans the party of small government, right? They are trying to control Americans, control Texans in a way like we've never seen before.
absolutely. And speaking of control, like they were also like trying to retaliate against y'all for the quorum break, right? And they've passed more authoritarian kind of legislation to try to hinder a constitutional right that the minority has.
Right. So beginning with when we came back, and they had quorum, so we came back to the House. They made us either sign a permission slip or they locked us in to the House chamber like they did to Nicole Collier, right? I happened to be able to sneak out. So I didn't have to spend the night in the Capitol or sign a permission slip. But that's a whole separate story. But yes, then last night they tried to punish us some more by passing a rules change that would take away our seniority, take away our parking spot, increase fines if we were to ever break quorum again. And really, it is a way to control us when we answer to our constituents, right? And my constituents wanted me to break quorum. We had overwhelming support for me leaving the state to deny Republicans the quorum they needed to pass their craven power grab to manipulate these congressional districts in a way so that they would predetermine the outcome of the 2026 midterms. And I did exactly what my constituents wanted. Yet these Republicans are trying to punish Democrats for doing just that. And in fact, they're also trying to remove me from office. There is a proceeding right now at the Texas Supreme Court to remove me from office for breaking quorum. So, right, they are acting in a space of lawlessness where they're just trying to control us. And think about it. If they're doing that to us and we have, higher profiles than the average Texan, and they're not embarrassed or ashamed to do this to us, think about what they're doing to Texans who don't have the benefit of having lights shined on what's happening to them, right? So it's really scary times, both here in Texas, but just in this country. I mean, remember, they even called the FBI on us to try to hunt us down and locate us. Never before has government admitted to putting the FBI on its political opponents, right? But Trump said it was the right thing to do. Our senator said it was the right thing to do. It is just wild times. And our Republican leaders have shown us that they will use these authoritarian tools to try to control us. The question remains, what are we going to do in response? And so it is so important that we do everything in our power to resist their efforts to control us.
Absolutely. I think I am having flashbacks because I was in Tennessee when Representative Justin Jones and Representative Justin Pearson were expelled from their seats. And I'm seeing a scary slip towards authoritarianism here in the Texas legislature as well. And it's very reminiscent of the things that were happening to a super minority. And they didn't have necessarily the constitutional protection to break quorum that y'all have. And so it's really, really scary to see this. And I think following the Texas Supreme Court proceeding will be really, really important going forward. And, you know, we've talked a lot about of doom, a lot of bad things happened. What is something that you are proud of from this session?
Well, it's hard to make good things happen under the current Republican majority, but you started this show off with House Bill 8, the bill that more than triples standardized testing in our neighborhood public schools. We were able to make that bill a little less worse. They had, if you can believe it, in the first draft of the bill that was on the floor of the House, they had a provision in there that would take out the ban on testing kindergartners for the A through F accountability system. They tried to sneak it in and hide it in this bill. And I did an amendment to call it out and to keep the ban on kindergartners from
Yeah.
having to take the STAR test. And once everybody understood what was happening, they accepted the amendment. And so at least our kindergartners will be safe. If you can believe that's what they're trying to do, but it is. And there was another amendment I was able to get on the bill that was to at least reduce the test in high school by one when it comes to
Okay.
standardized testing. So there were some minor wins, but I'll tell you, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that they tried to sneak this bill through, and I'm not going to let them do that. So we've been very focused on letting the public know what is going on so that they are held accountable for what they are doing. There will be another regular session that happens before the bill goes into effect. There's time to fix this, right? So it is so important that people engage, people call on the governor to veto this bill. And if he doesn't, to hold the governor and these legislators responsible for what they have done to our school kids and our schools.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important call to action that I'll make sure to amplify and make sure everyone knows
Thank you.
to make the calls, and there's still a chance to fight and continue to fight. But you guys are adjourned. So like what's next for the legislature? Are they gonna call another session and do more, or
Knock
what do you
on
think is
wood. Let's knock on wood right here.
yes.
Uh,
Awesome.
don't say that. Shh. So who knows, right? I'm not let into those secret rooms of power where they make these sinister decisions. And I don't know what they will do. I will say they did not pass the ban on THC and THC products that are available for purchase right now. And so they could not come to an agreement on that. They could come back on that. I just don't know what they'll do.
Got it. Absolutely. And then, you know, we're adjourned, but there's still a fight to be had. How can people continue to stay engaged with what you're doing and all of the work that you are doing against this House Bill 8?
Right. Again, call the governor, tell him to veto it, and spread the word. The most important thing you can do is to spread the word within your circle of influence. You have a giant circle of influence, so thank you for having me on this show and letting me talk to your viewers about what is happening. But this all happened so fast. Remember, this was only a 30-day special session. So most people are busy with their lives, whether they're going to school or work. And that's what Republicans in charge are counting on, that you don't notice what they're doing. So we have to tell everybody what is happening and flag these things for our friends and our families. The other thing is let's get ready for this next election. There, by the way, there's even a constitutional election in November that has one provision that I'm particularly focused on that would give stockbrokers a forever tax break on their trades in Texas.
Hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so we have to vote that down. So we'll be putting out some information about that later, but that is something we should be able to win on. That is not a popular position,
It's
but
not.
again, nobody knows it's happening, right? This just passed the legislature in the regular session and it has to go to the voters because it is a tax break for a special population of Texans. It needs to be approved by the voters, and that will happen this November.
Right. I think people forget that every year is an election year and that there are important things on every single ballot. I know that in my area in Fort Worth, we have a special election for a Senate seat that was vacated. And so staying informed and making sure that we're turning out to these state and local elections, um, for sure. I think it's so, so important. I think let me know how I can amplify that. But
Okay, great.
what are your social media handles so everyone can follow you and stay engaged?
Okay, I am Gina for Austin on Twitter for sure. Yes. And Instagram too, I think. Let me see. I wanted to, can I see it here?
You're
I'm
Gina
pretty,
Hinojosa, ATX.
oh, there you go. Thank you for that. I should be consistent, shouldn't I? But yes. So thank you and we're also on Facebook and Blue Sky and TikTok. And so my TikTok handle is Gina for Austin.
Awesome. Well, everyone, make sure to go follow her, stay engaged,
Thank you.
and let's keep getting in good trouble together.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
All
Thank you.
right.
Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.